Hey everyone, my name is Julia, I'm a painter and 3D artist and welcome back to my CG Bird channel. You really like my last video about 3D environment creation in Blender? And I promised to make 3D model and car tutorial in Blender, and here it is. Are you ready? This is Blender tutorial with your favorite CG Bird channel, Blender tutorial. This video is a part of a series of tutorials that includes working with a reference, 3D modeling low poly and high poly, UV unwrapping, and also if you're interested, I can show you texturing in Substance Painter, including baking normals. As you notice from my portfolio, I really love 3D modeling of the cars. I already got a lot of experience in 3D modeling with a car, and I developed my own ways how to make the scenes much more easily. I started 3D modeling car in Autodesk Maya a long time ago, something like in 2019. Including all the add-ons and modifiers that you have in Blender, it is so much easier to model cars now that it was a long time before. In this video, I will show you how to model a car using very simple examples and modifiers. Starting from the Blockout, we will move to the middle shapes of the model and add some details. What's the importance of the matrix and the sizes? All of this is explained in details with the advices. This is the ultimate guide for every skill level, with a focus on the beginners. After finishing this course, you will be able to model game assets with an understanding on how to use shapes to make any type of the model, whatever it is a car or not. Blockout. The first stage of 3D modeling is blockout. It's also very similar with prototyping in the game industry, because sometimes you will use blockout for prototyping. Basically the model without any material, maybe only the basic materials, so you can visually see the difference between some pieces. Prototyping is very important in the game industry, and let me just show you some example that this is the game Horizon Zero Dawn. The reason why I started playing this game was because the graphics is absolutely beautiful, so I was thinking that I will learn a lot from that. And you can see all kinds of different machines in here. They look absolutely beautiful. But it's important to understand that in the beginning, they didn't look anything like that at all. So this is exactly that machine, and this is exactly how everything started. You can see this machine doesn't look anything like you saw before, it's just the simplest blockout. When you start a game, you want to test the scene and see how it works, because there is no other way to reach a good result without testing and trying and fixing and then testing and trying. This is the game development world in general. And this is the same Horizon Zero Dawn on the early stage, where they were just playing around the idea of the game. My main point is here that as an artist, you need to be able to experiment with the scene, experiment with the shape, trying to find the form, and then go to the middle forms and details in general. Blockout and prototyping, the first stage in game development in general. I will use this car as a reference. One of them is low poly, another is high poly. I use Blender 4.1, but you can use any version you would like. It doesn't change anything. You can use another software if you would like to. In Blender, everything starts that you put the A to select all the objects and you just delete all the scene. It's kind of brutal, but I can live with that. On my another screen, I will have always open this application with a reference. I added some reference of the car that I already created. Yeah, let's get started. Shift A, mesh, and I start with a cylinder so I can create the wheels. You can go to any number. Right now I'm just prototyping with my car and trying to find the main shape, see all the scales that I need. When you rotate all the objects, you select the object and rotate them according to the axis you want to rotate. So basically push R, then the axis that you want to rotate, which is actually X, Y, that. And then you just use the mass and rotate it on 90 degrees. After that, I'm going to edit mode and move my wheel just a little further. You can change all the angles so it's more easily for you to navigate on your scene. And the first modifier I'm gonna use is mirror, which is probably the most popular modifier in Blender. Don't forget to save your scenes so you won't lose all your progress. It will be sad, very sad. I know how that works. You can use any images in the scene you would like. If you are very specific for some metrics like the width of the car and so on, you can go ahead and use the reference. For example, just for scale, I can use a reference. Now we know the width of the car, and maybe this image I will need later. I think having the image that helps you with the metrics, so you can use the real car image of the sedan or a truck that you're about to make, so it helps you kind of to find the scale, or you can have already defined scale of your project where according to the scale you apply all those metrics. When you start model a car, you should understand what your metrics are. I think the better example of if I have already the blockout here, so it's very important to know what your metrics are according to your project. It means that you need to know the length, the width. If you make many models of the car, they should keep some metrics the same, which is actually gonna be easier with a wheels collider and so on in the game engine. I don't want to go way deeper in this topic right now, but I'm gonna show you how the best way to measure the car, and I want to show you how to keep the scale and the metric of the car. So you can create a cube and then scale your cube, and now you just go to edit mode and scale the cube according to axis Y to put the cube as a collider all around your car. It looks pretty good. Then after, we can select our edges and go to mesh edit mode and pick edge length, and now you can see that I have the length of the car and I can exactly see what my numbers are in here. If you go to the settings of the Blender, you can change meters to feet, whatever better works for you. It's very important to know what the size of your car, and if you model the real car, then you need to keep the same sizes to have the same scale. But if you model the game asset, you need to keep the scale so the car can fit the world in the game engine, as well as keep consistency with the assets, which is, if you go way further, it will all connect with the physics and colliders and coordinates and so much more that I will explain a little bit later. You can also take the drawing of the car and keep the same width and length scale. It means that you can change the size of the car but still have the same proportion. It might help you a lot. There is good news for the community. I created my Discord channel, so now you can join there and be open to talk, to share and learn. You can find interesting link to the resources that might be really useful for you, as well as you can share your own artworks and talk to people that work in the industry. Join the Discord channel and be part of the community to learn, to grow, to teach. Then we create just the cube. It's important to understand that it's just prototyping. You're basically just playing with the form and trying to find the main shape that will be changed in the future. don't be afraid to experiment, just move stuff around and it might change how the model will look in the future a lot. It will be very helpful just to make a couple of screenshots of the car that you really like. So now I'm just go ahead and check my proportion, so it will help me a lot. In this case, I can see the scale that I need. This is the blockout of my car. I can see the proportion in general, and if I would like to change something, I would go ahead and do it right now. We can move to another stage where we'll try to find the forms of the car instead of just having those very cubic forms. I'm gonna connect everything together. It's very important to keep everything clean. I want to create a collection to have my blockout here. Into different ways. I can save this collection, duplicate collection, which is gonna be absolutely the same, or I can keep with the same one. It doesn't make difference. I just would like to save it on the stages so I can show you in the future. Go to the middle stage, mean that we will change all the forms with the cubic to the middle shapes of the car. After will be the third part, which is actually add the details. It will be close enough to the finished low poly. Feel free to use any images you would like as a concept. It's really good, especially for the beginner. I was thinking about the best and the easiest ways to show this method. Especially for the beginner, it will be fine to catch all the forms just immediately. So I decided to make it more simple. You can use additional reference, just grab reference and put it in Blender. You just follow the forms. Remember that the car have their own features where all the forms, like for example this edge will go a little in that direction. To keep the model low poly, I would recommend to find the best amount of edges. In the same time, you have to look at where you can save the space, and we want to have it more round than just square. Select the edges and then push Ctrl B with a bubble, find the form, and you have many settings that you can modify. For example, the width of the object, the amount of segments in there, the shapes itself, so many other options in there. I would probably here go with the offset, and in other cases I would better go with a present. can do extrude, just push an E, and according to your drawings, you extrude your object in what size you need. There is another way how you can do extrude, which is actually select the edges and then push E, and for example 1 or 2. It will add a segment according to the number that you use, which is actually can be really very helpful in some type of model that you use. The front of the car. Our wheels will have a lot more polygon than here. I'm just gonna go ahead and create a cylinder with way more polygons, maybe 24. I think 24 will be enough. And then I'm gonna rotate the cylinder on 90 degrees of each side, and then scale the cylinder according to the size of the cylinder that I already have. So far I found it the most fastest way for me. To join the objects together, you push Ctrl J. To select all cylinder, you push L, which is actually select all the edges, and then push delete. So this is our new wheels, so looks like way more round. I will keep working with those type of wheels later. Now we're moving to the part with the front. There's few ways how you can do that. I'm probably gonna go with the simplest way, which is actually just select a polygon, then push L and select all the objects, and you can hide it. Let's rename it front blockout. To hide the object, you use the hotkey H. To unhide object is Alt H. You can select the object and push the button P, make the selection, and it creates a new object from the object that you have. I'm just gonna hide it, and right now we need a wheel. We'll go ahead and select probably this amount of wheel. Then we use the hotkey Shift and D and scale it. I will go to the vertex view and I will change the form according to the form that I need. Very important to notice that we have additional part that will create a bumper in here, which is this part will be hidden behind all those additional objects. I go ahead and select all my object, which is I mentioned before, and just scale it. I'm gonna select all the line, so I'm just select one edge and then push Alt, left, bottom mouse, and it selects all my line of the edges. Extrude and scale. Here, this part should fit the part that we already have in here. Make sure that everything fits together. I also move another picture to the view from the top, so now I can visually see my proportion. After the selection, I can extrude it again, extrude and scale in the same time, and I can move it a little bit in here. So we create a shape. We move all those vertices a bit up according to the shape of our front. important to find the line that we need. Make sure everything looks smooth. That's why we move these vertices little by little. We select the line, and from the front point of view, we can see how further we need to go. We also can see that the car has additional object on the hood, which is actually we can make very easily just selecting, and then we extrude it on exit Z as well. I would like to add some objects that will be on the front. So I'm creating just a cube and scale it according to my shapes. In a usual way, which is actually you push the key E, or you can push Ctrl and the right button of the mouse, which will extrude on the place. Now I need to make this shape for the lights. I like it a lot, that's why I decided to use it in my model. If you follow the form of the car, it's very important to have 3 points of the view, which is actually from the side, from the top, and from the form. Having all of those sizes, you can easily find any form of the car that you wish. For right now, I'm just using the main scale of the car that I already have, or I can just come up with my new ones if I would like to. It's also important to understand that all the cars are different and all the ways of modeling the cars are different. Right now I'm trying to play with the forms, and when I originally created this car, I didn't have those protection of the view. I was just looking on my reference and trying to find the form that I like. I need to make the cut in here, so it will divide my car where the door and window is gonna be. So I push Ctrl plus R, and then I move my edge to the place where it's supposed to be. But you can see a problem in here, which is the lane is not straight. So I'm just gonna scale it to the axis X until the line is straight. Or you can scale it or axis X and push 0, which is actually automatically will create you a straight line without any problems at all. I do think we need additional edge in here, which is actually helps us to shape our middle part a lot. Now we can see the form of the lights, and they also have very interesting form, which is I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that everything on the right places. We just copy that and move it on the... I learned from my own experience this, for me it works the best, because I don't really focus only on one part. I'm trying to find what else I can do to make this car look better, and I'm looking for all the scene that doesn't work right now and trying to fix them. For example, like here. Very important for now, you need to keep the clean geometry. Your main goal is to have 4 vertices that form a polygon. If you go to the game engine and in general to the Substance Painter or so, you will notice that all polygons will become triangles, like that. But if you don't have 4 vertices in a polygon, and for example 6 or more, when the software or the game engine will make the triangles, it might create some issues with your geometry that will affect your model. You will have some artifacts that looks really very weird, and if you don't have lots of experience in 3D modeling, it would be really tricky to find out what is going on. My advice for you is to keep your poly count as clean as possible, because it helps you to optimize the model and to clean the model way faster in the future. My next important step is that if you go to viewport overlays, you can see here face orientation. You can see that part of my model are blue and part of my model are red. The red parts of my model mean that my polygons is actually upside down. If you rotate your viewport here, you will see that all blue polygons are here. If you go to the Substance Painter or the game engine, all of those polygons will be invisible because they are upside down. You need to keep your model as clean as possible, and in the same time to check your face orientation to fix upside down polygons. It creates issues with your UV unwrapping as well. You can do it when your model is done, or you can do it by just step by step. So you need to select all the red polygons, or just select the car in general. Then you go to Mesh, Normals. Here you have few options, and I usually use this one, which is actually rectangular outside, which is gonna fix your upside down polygons everywhere. Now we have clean model with good looking polygons. It was one of the steps, and let's just move on. If you want to join a separate object, which is I just created a cube, to the object that is already existing, you just select your first object, and then the second one you select the objects to what you want to connect, and then you just push the Ctrl G and everything will be connected automatically. The reason why I'm working with the different objects, because they are really very easy to select and modify. I really highly recommend you to use hotkeys in Blender, which is actually helps you navigate really very fast. It might be really complicated for the beginners because you need to remember so many different keys, but don't worry about it. With the time you will use for that, and you wouldn't even think what you are using exactly. And to do this curve in a very easy way, we can use proportion editing that has many different shapes that you can use. I would recommend to go with this one to specific this situation, and you just move it on axis Y a little bit and then just push rotation. I also would like to scale it. For car modeling, it's better to always use mirror modifier, so your car is symmetric, especially for the game engine, because it will change how your car will drive with the physics. Sometimes you also need to hide the objects, which is actually you select the whole object and then push the button H, which is actually gonna hide your selection. To unhide it, you need to push the Alt and H and it will be back. After I extrude my window inside to 0.2, and I want all my windows to be extruded with the same distance, so I push the bottom extrude, then I push 0 minus 0.2, and it will extrude my window to the minus 0.2. And when I will go to my second window, it will be extruded on the same distance. The next step is to make my door, but as you can see, I have the line in here on the car, and to do that I select my edges in here, and then I bevel my line on the width type offset, and I just select the width that looks good for me. After I go to select my door in here, and I use the key I, scale a little bit, and then move it. Time to smooth our body a little bit so it doesn't look that rough. So right mouse button click and shade smooth by angle. Also go here and select the modifier smooth by angle, where you can change the angle where exactly it's been smoothed. Remember to apply shade smooth before you apply smooth by angle, because otherwise it wouldn't work. Your cube is separate object, and make sure that your set origin is either where the cursor at or on the center of the car here. We go here and we add array modifier, which is gonna make more cylinders for us. Also, according to our model, we know that all the cylinders should be rotated. So we go to the edit mode and just rotate our objects, just like that. Now when we go to the array modifier, we can change the distance between all the cylinders, amount of the cylinders we apply, and also we can apply mirror modifier, which will mirror our cylinders according to the axis Y. to constantly look at your model from all different angles. That's why I constantly use my numpad to switch the angles. I usually use 1, 3, Ctrl 3, Ctrl 1 and 7. In this case, I can see my model from all different angles, and I'm pretty sure what is exactly happening with my models. We have a lot is going on the back, so I'm gonna add exhaust and little pipes in here, so the car gonna look way better from the back. After, I will go back on the front and keep working with the object on the front. After, I will be ready to make some wheels that will look not as a cylinder, as a geometry shape, but it will look as real wheel in there. Also very important to notice that there is many ways to create wheels, and all of them depends what type of wheels do you need, with different protectors on there. This type of the car doesn't have any protectors. I mean, you can make them, and probably I would. time you add a new object, you can go back and review your position. So basically, you can feel free to change anything to make the shape that you need. Never try to love the form in a way where you're afraid to change it. Most of the times, you will throw out from the scene lots of models or lots of shapes that you don't like, and it's okay, it's normal practice. I keep working on the back of the car. I'm just extrude and scale my vertices. Now I just keep working with the wheels, probably one of the most interesting part. As you can see in my situation, I want to work with the wheels, but it's really hard to see. Like, it's really hard to see the object from all the angles. Other objects are not allowing me to see the wheels completely. So I select my wheels and then I press / on my numpad, and it just isolates this exact object from all others. For right now, I need to mirror the wheels on the center, and what I'm gonna do, set origin on the center of the mask. Then I will go on the top view and delete the faces. Then I will mirror my wheels on the axis Y. The back of the car looks way better. Right now I'm moving to the front of the car. And I'm moving to the front of the car to add more details and keep working on the model. Now very simple way how you can do additional parts, which is actually I'm just copy the polygon, scale it, extrude it, selection, and we're gonna use array modifier to make more segments. I think about 7. And when we go to the edit mode, we can rotate it, set origin to center of the mass, so it's way easier to navigate. Alright, now it looks good. After I'm done, I'm gonna apply array modifier and I'm gonna move my origin to 3D cursor. My 3D cursor is here, and I'm gonna mirror my object. I also would like to have some kind of window on the back, so it will look better for this type of the car. can move this roof a little bit lower, or we can just leave it like that. I think it looks pretty good. Example, you can just scale those vertices on the axis Y and then merge those vertices together with the hotkeys M by distance, and that you need to merge those vertices. The last thing I need to do is put everything together under the right parent and the right child and rename all according to their names. Right now this is very in the working process, where I used to create the object in the way I am comfortable to, and in the end I usually do the cleaning, which is actually very similar to all professions if you think about it. And usually I just organize everything under the right parent with the right coordinates, make sure that everything's smooth, and then it's ready for creating a high poly model. I would like to leave you here where you can add more details on your model with a variety of elements you want. You can add attachments like weapons or any interesting concepts you have in mind. One of the reasons if that is you need to figure things out on your own and be creative. If you are a beginner, don't be afraid to try new things. No artist is a genius from the beginning. It takes years of practicing and experimenting to improve. It takes hours of playing with simple shapes like cube, trying to figure out what's the best way to model this exact pattern or exact type of the model. I really want to share as much as I can here on my YouTube channel. Make sure that you join my Discord channel as well as like this video and subscribe. I also want to thank you the community, thank you all my subscribers that keep supporting me and keep watching my videos. It's very important to me, it motivates me to make new videos and share more in my social medias. Thank you for being part of my journey and part of CG Bird Studio. See you in my next video.